Hello there, this is Coach Sammy33, and this is the Block 2 recap for the Tulane Green Wave. Block 2, very kind as you can see, 2 games at home, so happy to have that. 2 matchups against Big Ten competition. Fortunate to win both. Maryland, a very stressful game, especially the first half. From up 14 to down 3 to up 11, all in the first half. Crazy swing, crazy momentum in that one. You're able to hold on and win by 15. And then Purdue. The fumble gods were in our favor. Lots of fumbles, conveniently timed fumbles for us. With Purdue being in scoring range, we're able to outlast Outlaw 28-20. So we are 3-1, and conference play is upon us. All together out of conference, 3-1. Will not complain about that at all. That's kind of what we were hoping for. I mean, I only can afford 2 losses in terms of the win goal. So I highly doubt I would go undefeated in conference play. I don't think I ever have. I think maybe once with Nebraska, the season I was 12-0 and I lost in the conference championship game. That's it. I'm gonna find a way to lose to someone. That's just how it is. So we'll take that. But let's look at some stats. We are clearly far ahead of some teams in the conference in terms of games played, so I'm not really going to focus on the conference ranking. I'm going to focus on the NDL rank for this one. As we get into conference play and as people get more games played, then I'll factor that in a little bit more. So in points, the top quarter of the league, essentially, 132. We'll take that. First downs, 25. I usually like to see this number a little bit lower, or well, this number higher. Lower. I don't like to have a lot of first downs and not have points. That means you're probably having to settle for field goals. Or you're turning the ball over in scoring range. I'm going to point to the Duke games. I think we were in there twice and we came away with no points. You don't like to see that happen. It usually is a bad omen. It'll make you lose games. Total offense for 34. So yardage we're good. What I do like is this, especially the passing. Passing. I was talking to Coach IROC last night. I'm like, man, I already have passed for 1,000 yards and we're just a third of the way through the season. It took me all of last season to get to 1,000. I had so much trouble passing with New Mexico. So this has been good. Maybe not the TD interception ratio, get to that a little bit later, but the yardage, great. Top quarter of the league. Rushing, we're still going to try to run the ball, averaging over 100 yards a game. I definitely will take that. Third down percentage, I mean, it's above 50%. I would like that closer to 57, 58%. So that's a work in progress. Fourth down, 50%. Not too worried about that. Not a real big deal. 2-point conversions, I do like that we're 2 for 2 when we go for them. So good play calling or good execution. Either or, a mix of both maybe. I'll take it. 7 red zone TDs. Turnovers, 8 on offense. So averaging 2 turnovers offensively per game. I can't really complain about that. I would like to see that number come down, but we're going to take that. 7 picks. It's not terrible. Yardage in terms of kick returns and punt returns. Haven't ran one back during the season, so I'm not too worried about that being good or bad. Defensively, points allowed, 102. So we're averaging 25-ish points allowed per game. Hopefully that number will come down as we get into conference play. First downs, 60. So you're seeing the reverse here. In terms of first downs allowed, we rank X. Points allowed, we rank higher. Don't like to see that. You want that to be lower. But in terms of yards, 42nd. So that means probably we're making mistakes on the offensive side of the ball that's leading to short fields for quick points. The Duke game, I believe a pick 6. Purdue, we threw a pick on the opening drive of the game, put him inside the 3. So stuff like that is not reflected in the defensive stats, but I mean, the defense is doing what they can. Can't help that the offense is not helping them out. Passing game, giving up over 200 yards per game. Definitely want to see that number come down. And really the same with the rushing. Though I will say we've allowed 439 yards in 4 games. 200 of those came from Ashton Genty. So if we take that as an outlier, maybe the running game's not so bad. We'll see as the season goes on. I do not like this third down percentage. 60%. That number definitely has to come down. So either we have to start making splash plays to lead to 3rd and longs, or we just have to be able to stop in 3rd and manageable, or 3rd and on schedule, as I like to call it. Turnovers, this is the big one. This is something that helped out immensely with New Mexico with the weaker defense, and we're seeing a similar thing here. 19 forced turnovers, though this number is clearly an outlier. We're number 1 in fumbles recovered. 8 fumble recoveries in 4 games. Yeah, that number is definitely going to regress to the mean. Hopefully, though, when it does, the interceptions will still kind of stay where they're at. We've got 11 so far in 4 games. Like to see that. Punt return, don't like that. We're near the bottom. Why? Because we gave up a punt return to Maryland. So special teams coverage is going to have to be better going forward. Looking at player stats, so a third of the way through the season, Mensa, I said, Dampier last season, it took him 12 games to get over 1,000 yards. That's how much we struggled passing the ball. 1,000 already, and we still have 8 games to go. This may be one of the best passing seasons in terms of yardage, at least that I've had in the NDL. Completion percentage is 64. This is not good though. 8 TDs, 7 interceptions, 4 came against Duke, but still, that number has to come down, especially if this number is going to be going up. In the running game, Hughes looking good, 400 plus yards, so he's averaging over 100 yards a game, averaging about 20 carries a game. I like that. He's not as involved in the passing game as I've had running backs in the past, so most of his touches are coming here, though he does have 1 fumble. The first fumble that I've had by a starting running back since coming back to the NDL on the PS5. Crazy. Crazy. Over 20 games and not having a fumble. Does have 4 touchdowns, a long of 37. He is a speedster, but hasn't really broken the long run, just the 17-yard run, the 15-yard run. Those are immensely helpful, but he hasn't had those big breaks that I was getting with Sanders last season. The receiving game, we have to do some piecing together here. So you have Brown, the number 2 receiver. Looks like he leads the team in receptions, right? 19, 345 yards, 3 touchdowns. But then you have this Mekhi Williams and Mario Williams. Some dummy, won't name any names, clearly can't read the difference between Mario and Mekhi, and it's too late to fix that, so we're going to have to lump them together. So it's actually Mario Williams. He's got 12 receptions, he's got 273 yards, and he's got 5 touchdowns. So when you put that together, it looks a lot better. He is having a great season. I'm definitely happy with his production. This is not what I was getting with Luke Wysong last season. Impact receiver, but had a hard time catching the ball. Just 1 drop on the air. Sure, it was a touchdown, but still very productive. The passing game is humming. What they offer is different. They contrast and complement each other very well. Hughes tied for 2nd in receptions, though not in yards, 146 yards on 12 receptions. Fleming had an issue catching the ball earlier in the Duke game. He had a lot of drops in that one, but still, he's got almost 200 yards. The tight end has got over 100 yards. So already, you've got 2 receivers over 200 yards, 1 over 3, and then 3 other players with over 100 yards receiving. Love to see it. Even the 2nd tight end, Reggie Brown's getting involved, and we're finding ways to get looks for other receivers. So I'm really happy what we're seeing in the passing game right now. As long as they're holding on to the ball, it looks like they're creating space for each other and making it really difficult for defenses to track in who to focus on. At the end of the day, I don't care who gets the yards. I just want someone to be open. Just find the open guy and get the ball to him. That's your job. Offensive line, Graham, only guy with double-digit pancakes, but he is allowed a sack. This guy, Mr. Hurst here, we might have to help him out a little bit. He's allowed 4 sacks so far this season. So, and some pressure. So we are going to have to figure out a way to maybe protect him a little bit more. Let's keep our eye on that going forward. Defensively, my favorite guys to look at, you've got Machado. He's having a great season for us so far. 31 tackles, 4 interceptions, a sack, forced 3 fumbles, recovered a fumble, like doing a little bit of everything. A pretty sure tackler. He's catching the ball when the ball's thrown to him, and he's able to knock the ball out too. So he's doing a lot to help out our defense. Ransom, the secondary, is doing the same. 24 tackles so far. He has an interception in every game that we've played. He even has a touchdown. Touchdown, I believe, was against Boise State. And then the cool guy, Chris Rogers. So he's a linebacker. And this has been talked about in DMs from guys that I've played. They think it's really cool. Chris Rogers is a linebacker. His speed is 90. But he doesn't have elite coverage skills. There's someone ahead of him he's not going to be an edge rusher as a defensive end. He's not going to be a coverage linebacker, but because of his speed, we're able to really kind of scheme specific spots of where we can put him, where his speed could be helpful in pass coverage because of his ability to close to the ball. People are running tosses, we're able to put him out there, and because of his speed, he's able to hunt those guys down or push them back in. It's been a real big chess piece for us so far. He doesn't start all the time defensively, but even with that said, he's third in tackles with 23, 4 tackles for loss, and most of those, honestly, are trying to run down outside runs. So he's been very helpful. Something I haven't really had at the linebacker position in a really, really long time. And then just other stuff. Robinson, 2 picks. He's got 2 pick sixes, back-to-back games. Just a lot going on so far defensively. So we're happy with what we have, even from the sack department. Allen, 4 sacks. 4 sacks in 4 games. Yeah, he had a game with 3. This is more than I've had with most defensive linemen in the last 2 seasons. I believe my leading sack guy last season was 4.5, so he should eclipse that. And then lastly, just a shout out to Jenkins. He's got 8 tackles for loss, no sacks. Getting pressure up the middle and blowing up run plays, that really helps when you get a tackle for a loss on first down, and then it forces the team in a 2nd and 12, 2nd and 13, and they're having to pass the ball. Focus on getting to the quarterback. 2 missed field goals against Duke, rebounding nicely, and then punts are, whatever. Gave up a touchdown. You got to get that together. Nothing of note in the return game. And then you have this, our lovely team sheet. This is always going to change because it updates based on results and everything, but you can see the offensive rankings of my opponents that I played and haven't played, defensive rankings, and then also their Massey. So at the moment, Boise and Duke are Q2s. Maryland and Purdue are Q3s. We'll keep our eye on how they do throughout the course of the season. See the strength of schedule, it's dropped to 97. We'll have to see. In terms of the games that I played, 47, but conference play is definitely going to drop it down because this is not a power conference. I'll have to see how that goes going forward. Offense, we're at a 24, defense at a 37. Total record of our opponents, 8-20. That'll change. We'll keep our eye on it. I believe quad 1 Boise was a quad 1 earlier. Iraq had a double bye, so he'll get back into action, and then we'll see how some of those power conference teams we played will do in their own conference. So 2-0 at home, 1-1 on the road, and then opponent win percentage going forward. You have a couple of guys in conference that have not won a game yet. That'll change once we get into conference play. Their Massey rating, this will change throughout, offensively and defensively. But we'll see going forward. I know Boise's going to go up offensively because Genty will make sure of it. Coach contract. All our votes are done. Or 3 for 10. Coach reports, stats are just extra credit. Or I'm sorry, not stats. Recaps are extra credit, but I intend to do them all anyway. So all of those have been done. We're good so far. Coach reports we'll see at the end of the season. Like that's always a priority. Play a clean game, win or lose. And then for season success, so the win goal is 9.5, round that up to 10. So far, we've got 3. So that means I'm going to have to go a minimum of 7-1 in conference play. So we'll have to try to get out to a good start with surgery coming up soon. Definitely want to try to get in a rhythm, play well up into that date, and hopefully recovery, at least to be functional, will not take too long so I can get back on the grind and finish out the season. But in terms of bonus points, you at least have a little. We got a road win against Boise We're playing them at home next season, so we'll take those 2 points there. And we'll see what Block 3 has. We have a road game against UAB, so potential to earn 2 points there. Speaking of, our next matchup, we're an 85 overall. We'll be taking on South Florida. 80 overall, 78 offense, 80 defense. And then on the road against UAB, 80 overall as well, but the 76 on offense and defense. Not really sure how that equates to an 80. I can't imagine you have a kicker that's that good or a punter that good to boost it, but I'm not the one that makes the ratings. We'll see what Block 3 holds for us. Right now we're 3-1 and excited to get into conference play.